Hey, what if the most powerful form of communication between you and your child is never spoken? Spoken in a sense that your most powerful communication between you and your child is silent language and not spoken language. That what your child will understand more powerfully is what you do, what they get silently. And for them as well, the most that they use to communicate with you is that silent language of emotion. What if that is the case and we do not understand? What if that is what you are missing? I'm here to inform you about that. I'm here to let you understand that children, from their very beginning, they do not understand the verbal language. Their first language is the silent language of emotions. How things are happening around the environment is detected through feelings and is expressed through emotions. Emotions like sadness, anger, crying, and sometimes refusing to do something, like refusing to eat, refusing to sleep. Those silent moments, silent behaviors is the most powerful way of communication between you and your child. But what mistake are you making? You focusing on verbal communication. Every time you are insisting on instructions, on advice, on commands, all of them verbal communication. And you're forgetting the very essential form of communication, which is a silent language of emotions. That is what I want us to look at today. And while you are at home, just sit there silently and watch what happens around your children. Watch how they respond to you. Watch as they play. Pay attention to how they behave when they are around you. All those behaviors. Watch their their facial expression, their eyes, how they look at you. All of that is communication. But because we are not conscious, detecting it's very difficult. But congratulations for you, who is actually working on yourself to move from ordinary parenting to conscious parenting. You're going to have more ability to detect that silent language of emotion with your children. So you are in a very good track. You're doing it very well. And keep doing that. Keep training yourself. Keep working on yourself. And every time that we are having conversation, we're actually stressing the aspect of you making sure that you develop yourself to a point that children can actually observe and learn better skills and better qualities from you. And how does this silent form of language really benefit our children? You communicating to them in a silent way, but in a very good example, through modeling, actually benefit your children because they observe and they embed what you are as a person. When you create comfort in your home, children feel safe and they start sense of safety within a home. That is one aspect of it. When the home is full of irritability, the home is full of anger, children depict aggression. Their way of life becomes aggressiveness. because that is what they're depicting from you as a parent. But if you handle your anger well, if you manage your sadness well, if you manage your irritations well, then children also learn from how you're doing it. And in turn, they actually acquire what we call emotional regulation abilities, because they see how you do it. They see how you handle those situations. And so that is a learning that is translated to them in a silent way, through that silent language of emotion. You don't need to tell them that we need to calm down. Your calmness becomes their calmness. So understand that how they actually benefit depends on how you behave and how you show example and how you model how things are done at your home. When you actually create that warm environment within a home, it actually depicts trust, love, and care within a home. That is what your children feel. And when they grow up with that feeling, they grow up with a sense of developing emotional regulation. They grow up with a sense of developing that sense of empathy for others, because you created that environment. You showed warmth to them. You communicated it silently to them, and they understood it. Then they lived it, and they become what you actually demonstrated to them. So that is the essence of you actually working on those aspects of yourself, because that is how they directly benefit your child. And I actually keep on encouraging parents to always use their children as a mirror of reflection, and understand that all these things that are happening to them, they're happening because you do them. It's something that has been communicated silently, not with words. And a lot of things that we communicate with words never stick to their heads. They never remember those things. It just makes them feel something, and then after that, it is gone. It's meaningless to them. But how we act and how we make them feel through our actions sticks with them. You can actually attest it. Think of a scenario that you actually had with your parent. In most cases, they called it discipline. Maybe you were caned or you were quarreled severely. What you remember is how your parent made you feel, is how that environment looked like, but you cannot remember any words that they used. Rarely do we remember them. If I asked you to describe to me what your parent told you that day, probably you're not going to tell me anything. You're just going to tell me maybe 2 or 3 words that you might remember, but you won't remember what the conversation was like. What you will remember is what they made you feel, how it was harsh to you, how you couldn't express yourself to them. That is what you remember. So the mistake that you keep doing with your children is you keep doing it verbally, telling them whatever they are supposed to do. Is you keep shouting to them, giving a lot of commands here, commands there. They're never going to remember that thing. What they are going to remember is how you make them feel. Often, because we are not conscious of what we are doing, the only feeling that we normally give to our children is normally negative feelings and negative emotions. Why? Because we are always quick to react to the mistakes that our children make. And how do we react? We react in a negative way to make them know that it's a bad thing. We quarrel them, we instruct them. But then, how do they feel? The feeling of being quarreled, being instructed, or sometimes being punished is a negative feeling. They hurt inside, but they cannot express. What if we don't do that and we show up every day to model what we want to see from our children? So that instead of reacting, children already learn from what we show them and behave in a manner that we would like them to behave because we are modeling it. We are silently passing this information to them that, hey, this is how I would like you to behave, by behaving the way we want them to behave. So that in future, when your child is grown, they are not actually behaving in a manner that you feel it's not right. Because technically what they will be doing is what you taught them to do silently by modeling it to them. But let me tell you, fellow parent, if you're not working on yourself, for you to positively communicate good things in a silent way to your children, then what you will communicate, the emotions you will give, all sort of negative values and character will be embedded in them, and that is how they will behave. You will struggle, you will fight them, you will quarrel them, but there is nothing you will do because they learned it. And remember, when we learn something over time, normally it becomes part of us. So that is what we subject our children to every single day. So let us make sure that by understanding that the most powerful form of communication between you and your children is silent language of emotion, then work on what you communicate silently. Forget about the verbal things that we shout around and work on ourselves so that what we communicate silently becomes crucial, becomes important, and becomes very useful to these children that are growing up. And it will become our happiness in future because we won't have to seek for therapy, we won't have to seek for guidance, we won't have to quarrel with these children because they will be exact reflection of who we are. Their values will be like your values. Their character will resemble your character. And because you worked on your character and worked on your values and your skills, they will be positive and you will be happy seeing your child growing up that way. And something that I also want you to keep note of is from your side or from your perspective as a parent, how do you listen to this silent language of emotion from your child? What are things that you are actually going to look at? There are several aspects. Listen to that silence that your child is having. Instead of trying to overthink and ask and call them to talk to you, just listen to that silence that the child is having and try to understand it. They are communicating something to you. Look at their posture. Look at how they are sitting. Look at how they sit and behave when you are around. That posture is communicating something to you. And sometimes, because we are not actually conscious of the environment and what is happening around us with our children, we do not capture that. So look at the posture of your child. It might be as simple as when you arrive at home, saying hi to your child. When they are doing something, they don't even look up to greet you back and say Daddy is home or Mommy is home. They say, Daddy, I'm doing fine. And they keep on doing what they are doing. That posture is communicating something. It is different to a child whom, when you arrive at home, they leave everything they are doing, look up to where you are and say, Mommy, you are home. We are doing well. Different communications. Also look at the tone of their communication. How are they communicating? Different tones, different messages. We miss it because we are not conscious of what is happening within our children and around our environment. So listen to the tone of those words that your child is trying to talk. Look at their eyes. Do they feel comfortable, okay, around you? Can they look at you? Or your child never ever want to actually have any eye contact with you as a parent? That's a communication they are trying to communicate. They are not comfortable around you. They don't feel that warmth around you. They don't feel that safety around you. Look at how they look at you. Look at those eyes from your children. That eye contact aspect. You'll be able to tell what is happening with your children. Look at their facial expressions. There's a happy expression. There's a sad facial expression. But there are some that will have facial expression that you won't tell what feelings they are going through. And as a parent, if you get home, look at your child and she or he has a sad facial expression, it's a communication. Probably something happened. She's unwilling to share, but you can see it from how her face looks like or how his face looks like. Silent way of communicating. But if you are not aware, if you are not conscious to pick those things, whatever happened through the day will remain their business and you'll never know about it. They'll never share. If it's a traumatic thing, it will follow them to their later age. And that is when you will find yourself trying to move around looking for sessions, looking for counseling, looking for therapies. Because of something that you could have actually intervened the day the child looked at you with a sad face and you could not detect it because you did not verbalize it. So let us be conscious parents for us to detect and understand the communication that our children are telling us. What are they communicating? What are they saying? And from those communications, we will be able to gather what is happening in the life of these young people and young children as they grow up. And with that awareness and understanding, then we'll be able to know how we actually shape their life. And every time we've talked, we've actually stressed the fact that their learning depends on the values that we've developed for ourselves. If you understand that language, be able to pick up what is happening with the children, then you will be able to see a clearer version of yourself, because it is a direct reflection of who you are. The mirror that we have in our homes are actually physical mirrors. And the work of the physical mirrors is to help us see the physical reflection of ourselves. But then, have you ever thought to yourself, you have emotions, you have your behavior, you have your thoughts, you have your perceptions. How can you see those reflections? If we can only see the physical reflection from the physical mirror that we have, then how can we see our behaviors? Your child is the mirror for your behavior, your reflection, your perceptions, your emotions. If you want to know who you are, how you are, what you behave, then look at your child. You will be able to understand what it looks like. Putting that into perspective, we understand this. For us to somehow work on ourselves, or for us to actually understand which part of or which sections of our character or behaviors or emotions we are supposed to work on, then we're supposed to understand how to detect them from our children. And you can only understand that if you understand the silent language of communication that our children use. If you understand that, if you're able to communicate silently with your children, then you're able to detect all those factors. And that will tell you which aspect of your life as a parent you are supposed to work on. So come on, go on, look at these things, understand how you can communicate with the children without necessarily verbalizing everything, and then you'll be in a better place of transitioning from an ordinary parent to a conscious parent. And I once again invite you to this, that reach out so that we can talk further, learn further, and understand more and more about how we can talk to our children non-verbally, communicate, and understand each other.